Well, hello everybody who's here. My name is Callie Rouse. I am a Senior Intercultural Programs Advisor at CGIS, LSA Study Abroad Office. Do you want to introduce yourself, Julie?
Yeah, so Julie Katian's right, and I'm an academic advisor for the Department of Psychology.
Awesome. I'm going to get us started off. First, we're going to talk through kind of our first steps, presentation, kind of the talking overview about programs, and then I actually kind of narrow down into particular programs that we recommend to students who are Psych BCN majors. And feel free to drop questions into the chat through the presentation as well. Awesome. So what is CGIS? So we're the Center for Global and Intercultural Study. Most of the time we just go by CGIS. And we have over 115 programs in 45 plus countries, with plans to continue growing and changing and things like that. We offer programs in English as well as in local languages. And you can go abroad with us as early as your first semester, and you can go multiple times abroad as well. And we also not only serve LSA undergraduates, but we serve students from all colleges. So why study abroad? So one of the major things we're here for now is looking into satisfying Psych and BCN major and minor requirements abroad. That is absolutely something you can do. You can also get distribution credits abroad. Gaining new perspective in academic areas, studying with international faculty. I think this is especially helpful if anybody's interested in doing a more international career in the future, doing grad school abroad. Making those connections with foreign professors can really help you there. It can help you with your independence and also just gaining skills in general towards approaching different cultural frameworks and being able to, answer that question in interviews about working with those of like different identities from yourself, thinking critically and solving problems in a new, complex, and changing landscape, as well as bolstering your resiliency when things go wrong, which things always kind of go a little bit wrong, but you get interesting stories out of it in the end. And of course, making meaningful friendships and becoming a better global citizen as well. So what program makes sense for you? So we like to use this chart to kind of think about what program is going to make most sense. So language and identity, for example, maybe you are a psychology and Spanish major, and you are wanting to incorporate both of those. And so you want to go to a program where you're going to be able to speak Spanish as well as study like neuroscience. And your personal identity as well. How is that going to factor in? Do you want to go to some place where, the folks there look like you, and maybe you don't experience that here in the US? Degree requirements, we'll be talking about that in more detail for you guys. And professional goals as well. Cost is also a very important thing. Our costs of our programs and how they function is going to differ from program to program. And then fitting your schedule, making sure that you're being able to do this while still maintaining, proper progression with your major. And then just general on-site support. Are you wanting a support team available to you on the ground, and what kind of program is able to provide that to you, and things like that. You can also search by major and minor on the website. I'm going to show you the page for Psych a little bit later. So one major thing is knowing another language is not a requirement to study abroad. So we offer a lot of English taught languages or programs in non-English speaking countries. We have a whole slew of them here, from Latin America to Europe and Africa and Asia, all over the place. And there's also English speaking countries with CGIS programs in them. There's the traditional ones like Australia and United Kingdom, but you can also think about like Singapore, South Africa, Turks and Caicos are also available. We also have a bunch of programs with experiential learning elements, such as research and internship abroad, a couple that we're going to be highlighting are down at the bottom: the working in a lab in Stockholm, Sweden, and conducting psychology research in Madrid, as well as, of course, a bunch of other opportunities as well. Identity considerations. So thinking about race and ethnicity, like I said, maybe you want to go to a global majority country, or maybe you have concerns about certain locations and how you're going to be viewed. LGBTQ rights. What are the standards of LGBTQ rights in this country, and what are you wanting from the place you're going? Being aware of gender roles. In your local country, as well as your religious diversity, and whether you're able to practice your religious beliefs comfortably in that country. And we have a whole bunch of identity resources, as well as you can kind of talk to advisors one-on-one if you have concerns around these areas or questions. So first of all, with our summer programming, so for summer 2023, we're not accepting any additional applications, but we're starting to think all the way to summer 2024. So we have a couple of different major models. We have the GCC model, which is when you study abroad in the winter term, and then, you study here in the winter term, and then you go abroad for 3 to 4 weeks on the topic of that program. For example, Literary Monsters is one where students are talking about, like Dracula and Frankenstein and things like that here in the US. And then they actually go to the UK where these things are written or, set. So it's very cool. And they're taught by faculty the entire time. Another model is the GIU program, which has a semester preparatory course, and then you spend 3 to 4 weeks abroad on a project-based service learning program, where you're able to work in a community-sourced project environment. And our current offerings for that are in Brazil and Thailand, and those are happening this coming summer for the first time. Language requirement courses, if you do have language requirements that you need to complete to go abroad, note that you can do your 4th semester or your 3rd and 4th semester language requirements in Spanish, French, and Italian.
I have $10 off.
And those are with faculty as well. And finally, there's just our general opportunities of spring summer programs that vary all over the board, from ones that are with other universities in the US, or with local universities, or with partner programs. And we'll touch on a couple of them later. And semester and academic year, we have a really broad range of coursework that is available in the fall and winter, and both in full academic year. These are a few examples below of students that went abroad. Let's such an example, like this one student who is a psychology and political science student, who went to Queen Mary. And we'll talk, of course, about more of those programs as well. So how can we get you there? So we have financial aid available to you, whether you're going abroad in the summer or in the academic year. We highly recommend, as you're exploring study abroad, to consult with financial aid about how study abroad could impact your eligibility, and what you were eligible for. So a variety of funding sources are available to help students, not only just your traditional financial aid, but other, study abroad related aid as well. And so if you're looking at maybe studying abroad on the Madrid psychology program, in winter 2024, you would just kind of want to grab the budget for this program and fill out the study abroad estimate worksheet and send it over to them, and they can give you an idea of how much that program would cost for you. And then we also have the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. So if you are financial aid eligible, you are eligible for the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, and 95% of those students are going to receive $1,000 to $10,000, depending on how expensive the program is, how long the program is, and your particular financial need. Just note that you have to be a full-time student, which is minimum 12 credits in the fall and winter, and minimum 6 in the spring and summer. There are programs that fall below this threshold in the spring and summer, so that's the major one to take into consideration, that you must hit that 6 credit threshold. Other applications are also, or scholarships are available as well. We have a whole list, which is linked at this bottom here. And that kind of goes through not only like national scholarships, but also like university-wide scholarships and departmental scholarships and things of that nature, that we highly recommend looking through as well. And so what's next? So if you are looking through, the programming, we definitely recommend you look at it in more detail on Compass. And if you are interested in studying abroad this coming winter, the applications are open now for that. We will also have applications opening in the fall for spring, summer, and fall of 2024. And you can schedule an appointment with myself or another advisor if you have more detailed questions. And just be mindful of these deadlines, and that these are the standard deadlines. Some of them are a little bit earlier than what is stated here, but definitely start kind of looking through, having conversations with your psych advisor as well about what's going to be doable for you. Some things to keep in mind is that some programs do require academic recommendations, especially our more competitive ones, and personal statements or essays. There is a minimum GPA requirement on all of ours, but they do vary from program to program. And the application materials are going to look different. Just because one application looked a certain way doesn't mean the next application is going to look the same. It all kind of depends a little bit. And we highly recommend getting to know your professors, TSIs, and research supervisors, especially if you're looking at studying abroad in winter 2024. We highly recommend having a conversation with like your professor or GSI about doing a recommendation in the spring versus waiting until right before the deadlines in September, when things are kind of getting crazy. And also utilize Sweetland's peer consulting for writing as well on your essays. And just know that if we do ask for transcripts, those are all virtually accepted now. We don't do anything paper really anymore. And just some major notes on COVID. The biggest thing to say is that majority of our programming is all returned to normal. We only have 2 countries where we're not operating normally, and that is Russia and China. Russia, not due to COVID. And there are some programs that still have warnings on them, and that require you to do additional steps, but you will be given more instructions on that if that's a program you've applied to. But in general, that's how we're operating, and we follow any of the UN mandates or no longer mandates on COVID vaccines, unless it's a specialized program that has additional policies that require vaccination. They would be listed on the brochure, or you can ask the advisor if there is any restrictions on that particular program. And finally, we can provide you guys with support basically throughout your entire process. So from exploring programs to, after you get accepted, pre-departure orientations, we have health insurance, and we do health and safety advising and orientations as well. And we do grade processing for you, which makes life much easier. And kind of on that note, and we'll talk more probably about specific to your major, but getting credit abroad. So if you, as an LSA student, you will receive in-residence credit for studying on all CGIS programs, and classes taken abroad are going to automatically apply towards your GPA. You do have the option to take courses pass-fail if they are not in your major or minor. So if you want to get a distribution credit and take a pass-fail, totally allowed. And if you're wanting to do college requirements, you just need to speak with the appropriate advisors about getting those done. ahead of time. We really highly recommend you have those conversations before going abroad. So when you come back, you know that it's going to be workable towards your degree. And this is our little neat chart. I think Julie will talk a little bit more on this subject, so I won't get into this in detail. But we have a little chart kind of explaining the process of how things work. And finally, actually getting into programs that are suitable for psychology and BCN majors. Before I switch to this, are there any questions? Okay, awesome. So first of all, I wanted to highlight the CGIS psychology page. We made this in collaboration with the psychology department, and it is located on our by major section of our website. One really great thing is that the psychology transfer database is linked there, and you can look through it for pre-approved courses. It also has information on funding, psychology contacts, and commonly attended programs. We'll actually discuss specific programs that are recommended right now. So first of all is the Study Abroad in Scandinavia program, also known as DIS. It is located in Copenhagen and in Stockholm. This is a year-round program. It's very popular. It has a really broad range of coursework. I always tell students that this is really great if you are, like, say your major and minor are like vastly different from each other. Oftentimes, like, it's going to have offerings in both of those fields. It has a variety of accommodations, from homestays to like living learning communities, and like a thing called collegium or studentium, which is like a mixed American and foreign student housing. All the instruction is in English. It is an English like program, so it's all going to be Americans and Canadians on the program. And students actually have the ability to do lab coursework, as well as apply for a research assistantship on the program. And you can actually see examples on their website of what research assistantships they have available and have students doing right now. And they have this really cool thing about core courses. So for example, we grabbed, cognitive neuroscience of creativity. Maybe that's a core course they have on offer. That is the course that you actually get to travel with twice on. There's, first of all, a time where you leave the country. So maybe you're going to go to France for a week, and you'll be doing educational activities with your core course. And then there's another week, which is core course week, where you do travel around your country. So maybe traveling around, Sweden in different areas. So really cool program, and it is very experiential in nature. Do note it has an early deadline. This is for winter of August 15. Highly recommend applying to the early deadline if doable for you, because it can get competitive later on in the program. Neuroscience in Salamanca. So this is going to be a summer-only program, and it is a program that is specifically focused on getting students neuroscience coursework as well as Spanish language coursework abroad. And so students all live in a dorm with local students in Salamanca, Spain, which is a town that some students have in the past equated to being Ann Arbor-esque, in the fact that it is a smaller academic focused town. The University of Salamanca is a very old university and is kind of the center of life in Salamanca. We work with the University of Connecticut, and they do all the instruction for the neuroscience coursework, which is listed under the courses of interest. And then you will take a Spanish language course based on your background. So if you don't have any background, there's a beginner level. If you have a large amount of a decent background, you can take the medical Spanish coursework. And a recommendation is required for this program. Psychology and Research in Madrid. This is one that used to be spring, summer only, and it just expanded to a full academic year program, which is awesome. And this one, it has, you can stay in a homestay or a dorm, and students take coursework in psychology and non-psychology courses. And you can, one interesting thing is that you can actually opt to do a research placement in English or in Spanish, depending on your level of Spanish language ability, alongside either the single other course for the summertime or like 3 other courses you're taking on the program. So just be mindful, you do have to have completed interpsych, bio, or neuroscience to do the program, and preference is given to students with 2 semesters of college level Spanish. However, I would say this is more so in relation to the research placements and not like getting into the program in general. Generally not a problem. And students who do research, you're going to be in labs, institutes, medical facilities, and community settings. For example, we had a student last year who was able to sit in on counseling sessions and observe and talk through like what they were planning to do for the patients, like plans going forward. And they thought it was very interesting and engaging. And there's a whole list of courses of interest. I just didn't have a room on this page, but like cross-cultural psychology, psychology in the workplace, and so on. Some summer research in Glasgow, Scotland. So this is a summer program as well, and students live in a dorm with other students who are doing research. This program does not have any classes. It is purely research. So students actually select the research project that they are most interested in, and then they work with a local professor at the University of Glasgow. I think it's the University of Glasgow. And I highlight this one. There's actually four options in total. This is the one that's psychology research focused, but there's also locations in London, Dublin, and Granada, Spain. And this one matches you up with the project that best fits you and your background, and students are generally working 9 to 5 hours on the program, depending on the particular projects you are doing. And the nice thing is that they do not require a previous research experience to do the program. And so this one's good for somebody who's kind of like first wanting to do some research abroad. Finally, getting into kind of universities and exchanges. So quick highlight here of just like what these programs are. We have the University of Melbourne and the University of New South Wales in Sydney, which UNSW is very popular with students. And these ones both offer an exchange and visiting option, which means you can either pay in-state Michigan tuition to do the program, or you can pay the university directly, whatever one is more affordable to you. And then we also have the National University of Singapore program with psychology courses, philosophy courses. Just be aware that it is a competitive program, and we have a more detailed kind of chart of the program here as well, and examples of like the kind of coursework that you can do on these programs. With our European programs, so we have some in Ireland and the United Kingdom. So in Ireland, we have the University College Dublin, and in the United Kingdom, we have King's College London, Queen Mary, University College London, the University of St. Andrews, and the University of Sussex. Just note that King's College and University College London are highly competitive programs, but you could apply to Queen Mary as like a backup if that would be your first choice option. And then we have a full kind of layout here. Do note that the 2 most competitive programs have early deadlines in August. But these ones are really great options too. Because you are studying directly at a university, you're going to be studying alongside local students. And like our Asian universities, because you're studying directly with the students, you're going to have access to a really broad range of coursework that is available to you, as you're going to be able to access most of the undergraduate coursework. There's going to be some limitations potentially, but you can access a lot of it. Yeah. And then a couple more is Central European Studies at Charles University with the UPSIS program. So that one is just a academic year program, and students live in single room apartments and do all their instruction in English except for a Czech language course. And there is an internship option available based on your interests. And these are the courses of interest in this program. We also have another program in Prague, which allows you to study in the academic year alongside local students at Anglo-American University. And these are the coursework that's applicable as well. Do you want to take over for this part?
Yeah, sure. So I just wanted to offer, I guess, some suggestions as far as like, in addition to what Callie already mentioned of like why you would choose potentially one program or the other. A lot of the ones that Callie mentioned, especially for BCN students, they may not have BCN specific coursework, or they might only offer one option to be able to complete a major requirement. So the programs where you can almost be guaranteed to do more than just one advanced course would be the Danish Institute. That is by far the strongest program. Students can easily do 2 to 3, even potentially 4 requirements abroad. UNSW's also has quite a bit of BCN coursework, the research in Madrid, also the neuroscience one in Salamanca, and University of College London is also not too bad, but those are by far the strongest ones for BCN. Another consideration for BCN students is maybe saving your cognate or your third gateway course. So the social science gateway option, that could be a way to sort of give you a little bit more wiggle room so you're not having to focus on natural science like courses. And some students will just, because it is a little bit more restrictive, will just plan to go to finish requirements outside of going abroad. And so they'll choose to do courses for their minor or distribution, and then make sure that they save BCN requirements for actually here at U of M. And then for both Psych and BCN, it's best to plan for taking lab requirements here. For one, a lot of students will use their lab requirement for upper level writing. And of course, you're not able to do that as transfer coursework. The one exception, I guess the one major exception to that is research in Madrid. You are able to get credit for the second experiential or research component for the lab requirement. And the Danish Institute one, if you were to do a research experience, it might be allowed for that, but it's not going to be a guarantee. The research in Madrid, as long as you are accepted into a research experience, it would complete your second lab requirement. And then, so steps for getting your courses approved. So we have this departmental transfer course study abroad database where it actually will show you. Can you click on that, Callie? Mm-hmm. So we can take a look at that. So you can go ahead and if you wanted to put a filter in there, you could search by which courses have BCN requirements. There's actually, if you scroll over, you can sort by CGIS programs or by location, certainly by university, but you'll be able to clearly see that a course is accepted or not accepted. If you go back to the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Awesome. So, so for step 2, so first off, deciding which program you want to do. Step 2, checking the database. And then if the course is listed on there, there's no additional approval that you really need. We do like to be able to put a note in your advising file to make sure that we've, I guess, officially like confirmed that those courses are being taken, but there's no special approval necessarily that's needed. It's already been approved. If the course is not listed on that database, it just means that a student hasn't submitted a course syllabus yet. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be completely off the table. It just means we haven't reviewed it. So in that case, we do have this course petition process, and we'll send this, I'll mention that we'll send out this PowerPoint to everybody, so you have all the links in here, but you would just submit a course petition, attach a full syllabus, and we would get back to you and let you know if we could accept an alternative course. And just kind of a note for BCN, the way that we really look at reviewing coursework for that is just that the majority of the content is going to be the study of the brain. So it has to be a large portion of the course where you're actually studying the brain. So that's just one tip about BCN coursework. And then once you complete your program, we need to do exceptions to your audit. And so after your courses are showing on your transcript, your grades are showing, then you can email or meet an advisor in our office, and we'll make sure that any sort of exceptions are going to be added so your audit checklist is correct. But we can't do that until your grades have officially posted back on your university transcript.
Awesome.
Any questions at this point?
Is anyone thinking about studying abroad in winter?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome. Do you have an idea of where?
I'm pretty interested in the Madrid option or the DIS program from what I've seen. If we go and we're not looking to fulfill a specific requirement, can we still, like, would those classes just transfer over into like our general credit, like tally kind of thing? If we filled over all the, like, I'm BCN, so like if I filled all my BCN requirements, can I still take like the psychology in Madrid and then just have that count towards my total amount?
Yes. So if you end up not putting anything toward your major, minor distributions, it's just grades towards graduation. And you can take those pass fail if you want, but they're just credits towards the degree.
Yeah.
And it looks like we have, oh,
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, just to follow up. So all those courses, we could get them approved for LSA distribution requirements if we go through our general advisor?
Yes, yeah. So if you're looking to take anything through general distribution requirements, it kind of varies by advisor, but typically you'll want to get a copy of the syllabi for the course that you're interested in taking, and then send it to your general advisor, whether that's like CSP, Noonan, wherever, and they'll make the judgment on whether that will qualify to fulfill the requirement.
All right, so it looks like we had a couple questions in the chat. So yes, we will send out the slides so you have them. We'll also, of course, send out this recording. So if you wanted to refer back to it, you'll have that. And then it also looks like there was a question, and this is a great question, so thanks for asking that. But when you're looking at the BCN requirements on that transfer course equivalency guide, anything that says like advanced course, we are generally pretty flexible at how we count it as either a 300 or 400 level course. So for some students, if they need a 400 level, we can put it towards that. I would say general practice is we put it towards the 300, but we are not necessarily super opposed to putting it towards the 400, especially if we look at some of the Danish Institute courses. They really are kind of more similar to our 400 level courses. And so that's one where it's definitely not uncommon that we would put it towards a 400. But all that to say, we're generally pretty flexible with that.
I have a question about the financial aid. So if like you have scholarships from the school already for like just taking classes at Michigan, like do those count for study abroad as well? Or would you need to like apply for additional scholarships, or is it just kind of dependent on the scholarships? Or
Yeah, good question. So if that's like those scholarships are a part of your financial aid package, there is a good likelihood that they will be able to be used towards study abroad. because it's a university sponsored program. You will need to meet with financial aid specifically though, and like doing that estimate worksheet is a really great way of kind of figuring that out to see if those will go towards it. However, there are like dedicated like study or travel abroad scholarships, especially for those of you who are interested in the psychology and research in Madrid. I would say DIS too, but the research position is not as guaranteed as with that. There are actually research specific scholarships too. So you can try to apply to scholarships not only for studying abroad, but also researching abroad on top of it, which can help with those like additional costs of like flights and other like travel related expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And one other thing too, and Kelly, clarify me if I'm wrong with this. With the GCC programs, students put all of the tuition on winter semester, correct?
Correct.
So those
yes.
are potentially the most affordable because you're not paying an additional tuition.
Yes, it's both GCC and GIU. They are counted as winter term programs, which we do deliberately so that you, because they're only like 3 or 4 credits in total. So if you did it, if it was a spring term designated, it wouldn't be enough for aid. So it gets bundled in. You just have to make sure you have the space to do it. But the GCC and the GAU are the two most affordable of our programs. And they also have specialized scholarships for students that I think are Pell Grant eligible. Oh, and I just wanted to highlight really quickly, if you do want to speak more in depth about winter specifically, so if you're interested in winter, if you're interested in something later on, definitely do the study abroad fair coming in the fall. But we will be having on Thursday, I want to say it's 13th. Yes, Thursday, April 13th, from I think like 11 to 1 p.m. We're going to be hosting a mini winter advising fair for any students who are considering going abroad in advance of you guys all leaving us. Though, of course, we are available in the summertime as well for advising. Let's see. We had a question. How likely are courses outside of CGIS programs to be approved for upper level 300, 400 level credit? Would you be able to answer that one?
I don't see that in the chat.
Oh, it got sent to me directly. I can copy it. This is the text.
Okay. So like, I guess it would be through programs that are, I guess I'm reading that as right, programs that are not CGIS, so something like CEA or teens or something like that. We are going to look at courses the same way. So we don't have a preference for CGIS courses or any of those. We're going to evaluate the syllabus in the same way. And I would also say that with both CGIS programs and non-CGIS programs, we probably have evaluated a good 90% of the courses that you're going to be looking at for any of those third-party programs. So yes, I wouldn't say it's any more unlikely or likely. It's just, yeah, how we're looking at options. Usually the upper level electives are certainly going to be the easiest, as well as any breath group courses. Those are going to be the easiest to get approved rather than trying to get a lab requirement approved. Oh, and I guess just thinking of this, BCN students who are interested in going to Spain, there's not a ton of strong BCN programs, but if you are willing to look at a third party, CEA Barcelona is probably the best option. For psych, it's generally much easier to go to Spain, but BCN, it's trickier. So the best option that I've really seen is the CEA Barcelona. We have another question.
Sorry, I have a question about what you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? So the CEA Barcelona it would be third party. So that means that it would not be through CGIS basically?
Correct. Yeah. So what that means, and the difference is that you're going to be doing all of like the transcripts, like application, finances, you're going to be doing that all yourself with the support of that program. So CGIS is not able to assist with those. So where CGIS programs, you know, they get your transcript, they get your grades, it's posted on your U of M transcript without you having to do anything. You're going to have to do all of that paperwork on your own if you do a third party program. So we definitely have a lot of students do it. Like I mentioned in the CEA one, we have quite a few psych students who will go to Florence for the Wells College option in Italy. Those are probably a couple of the strong or like the most popular third party, but yeah, it's just a little bit extra legwork that you'll have to do on your end.
The other major thing to consider is just that the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship cannot be used by anybody who doesn't go through the university, through CGIS, and you also can't have access to institutional financial aid. It looks like Tiffany had another question. I think you might be best.
Yeah, so I applied directly to the university for a summer program. So for course evaluation, yeah, so you would just, if you don't see anything specific on the transfer database, if it's not listed, then you would just submit a course petition. So the course petition, there's just some basic questions that you have to answer about like your major, when you're planning on taking the course, and then you attach a full syllabus. So it does have to be a full syllabus with learning objectives, assessment information, textbook information, the list of course topics, those types of things. So a full syllabus. And most programs can provide that for you. Oh, and I will say too, they do need to be translated in English. So if it's in a different language, they do need to be translated.